All right, everybody, welcome on back. Continuing along our Friday, finally the end of the week here, heading into our Memorial Day weekend. Great to see everybody in our live trading room, and of course streaming across social media here with our afternoon meeting. Let's get a quick sound check just to begin. Make sure everyone can hear me loud and clear. There we go. Great to see everyone in tow. Kathleen, Grant, Chuck, David, Mark H, who I have to give a big shout out once again to. Yesterday afternoon, Mark H, shortly after the afternoon meeting finished up. He ended up calling out Tilray, TLRY. It was the trade of the afternoon yesterday. It's been my favorite stock today, at least. Great to see Leda, PJ, David F, John S as well. And of course, like I'd said, everybody streaming across Facebook and YouTube alike. So to top into it, guys, we ended up seeing a bit of a drop early on within the market. The Dow ended up pulling back a bit, just about 150, 200 points, but bottomed out, ended up squeezing up heading into the afternoon. And it's been a pretty exciting afternoon thus far, guys. Not just for the reason of Tilray, like I had mentioned, but we've done very well across the board. There's been opportunity just everywhere, whether it be a level 1 or 2 stock that we tend to call out, a slower moving, tighter spread stock, or if it's a faster moving stock coming off of news, a big pop, bigger spread, bigger opportunity. I know that Ben and Jerry were just jumping in a couple of them, FSCT and the ATRA. So let's go through a couple of those guys to begin. But of course, as always, we'll look to rebuild up our list heading into the end of the week here. So to begin, no better place to start than my Tilray. And it's moving right back up. Perfect. And at least for right now, maybe I try and set up an order before we even finish this meeting up. Tilray looks pretty strong here, guys, heading into the afternoon. We ended up seeing a very nice pop yesterday. And like I had commended Mark H earlier today, or just before on that call out earlier. But, again, we saw continuation on this Tilray trade from this morning. So it took a little bit, ended up pulling back. We have to wait for our opportunity. We're not going to catch the falling knife. We're not going to, buy this stock as it's dropping, but more so we're going to buy it after simply it breaks through a level as it's moving up. So we ended up seeing this begin to bottom out off of 9. And we saw a good entry off of 9, but more so really once this ended up breaking through 950, major resistance at the time, 50-cent level. Well, from that point, as you could see, a very clean squeeze up towards 10, 1035-ish, and a little bit higher this far going into the afternoon. So for the afternoon, guys, we're going to keep our eyes on a couple of different price levels for right now. As far as potential resistance ahead, that 1050 level at first, next 50-cent increment ahead here. We saw a bunch of volume get filled a moment ago on the bid for 1050 here on Tilray. So I would expect a strong support to act here. Now, in this case, a strong resistance. And then aside from that, I would say specifically at 1064, I was just working with one of our students here a moment ago, and we saw this together. Well, we ended up seeing this basically, peak at 1064, but we ended up seeing sell-off right at that price. So as soon as it sliced under that 1064, notice what happened after it held it as resistance and dropped pretty sharply. So, Tilray, easily we're going to put this on our list. It was fairly easy just based on the 950 level earlier. Hope it's just as easy going into the close. Just again, keep an eye on that 1050 level and also perhaps 1064. Let's see here. From Bonnie, are you in screen sharing? Yes, I am. Make sure that you are. You could always change the tabs yourself, by the way. So just I should be on screen sharing, guys. I should be good to go. All right. So with that in mind, guys, just keep in mind Tilray. Again, we're going to keep this on our watch list. Aside from Tilray, we've done very well. Like I'd said earlier, a couple of them did really well for that matter. XSPA, XSPA. More from pre-market, but you could see this beginning to make a bit of a bounce so far going into the close. So shortly after the open, as expected, XSPA, for as big of a move as we saw on this trade just before, it ended up pulling back. So from that point, we had a wait very similar to Tilray, although this was up a lot. This was definitely expected to see it just tank after the open. Well, it ended up pulling back towards 75 cents, 80 cents it bottomed out at, and made a nice 20 or so cent move up so far heading into the close. I normally wouldn't expect a stock like XSPA here, and I say this all the time. I wouldn't expect for this to make a second big clean move up heading into the close. All right. Give me a split second here. Just want to make sure I'm good. Yeah, I'm good to go here. All right, cool. All right, we keep it moving here, guys. So, like I'd said, I don't expect this to make a second big move up heading into the close. It topped off at a buck, major level, and pulled back pretty sharply. So it goes to show the strength of that price. Now, to see it move back up there, maybe making a lower high, that wouldn't surprise me. But I wouldn't expect this to make some sort of, 20, 30, 50 cent type breakout off of a buck going into a close. So, good stock to keep in mind for next week post Memorial Day. But for right now, I feel like the run is done on this. All right. Speaking of the market making a bit of a bounce back up, we were focused on the cruise lines as we typically are. So NCLH, one of them, ended up pulling back greatly after the open. We were pretty bullish on this trade considering the pre-market trend going into 9:30. But we ended up seeing, as the market did, it pulled back. It broke down below support off of 1450, essentially held that as resistance, and continued its descent down. But we ended up focusing in on this specific price, guys. I was commenting on this trade going all throughout the morning, going into the afternoon, not 14. In particular, 1403. 1403 was yesterday's closing bell print. If you see this huge spike of volume, you ended up seeing the majority of that spike in one transaction right at 1403. So for what it's worth, 1403 held pretty damn well as resistance here. It ended up just popping above that price, moved up a little bit. We were looking for a higher high off this next level here at 1420. So we were calling this out as the next level ahead, but unfortunately, looks like this broke back down a little bit below that 14 level. So you know what, NCLH, we're going to keep this just on the side. It's one I wanted to bring up from earlier, just a side list stock that we followed a lot or followed frequently this morning. All right. And then for the rest of them, a lot of the stocks that were on the pre-market watch list, morning watch list, we caught a couple of good moves on them, but typically on these small cap stocks, similar with what we had just discussed before, we end up seeing the volume drop off very quickly, so fairly quickly for that matter, pardon me. Well, DRAD, big pre-market move up, ended up making a nice little bounce at the open. I want to zoom in here because this did bounce shortly after 9:30 from 250 up towards just about 3. Nice trade. But just as big of a run as this was, it pulled back down fairly quick. The volume totally vanquished it, just crapped out. And from that point, this just is kind of meddling around support here, not doing much. The same to be said, though, for a lot of those stocks, unfortunately. They're very boom or bust. So, that's typically why we tend to just make these call outs early in the morning. We certainly don't look to hold on to these types of trades all throughout the day. A stock like Tilray isn't necessarily small cap, comparing this to, like we just saw here on DRAD, even a couple of the others, the MDGS, unfortunately, big, dud. We ended up seeing this just consistently drop off down towards just about 3. Maybe if it breaks above 3 here, make a nice little squeeze up, whole number level. But, for right now, it's just super flat. It's not worth the opportunity thus far for this afternoon. And again, the last one I just wanted to go over from this morning, or a couple more rather, the TTPH and then NAVB. TTPH was our best one of these small cap, cheap little runners early in the pre-market. For as much up as they were, again, we do expect a bit of a pullback and then perhaps from that point a breakout. So, TTPH ended up doing just that, ended up pulling back towards 250, ended up moving nicely up to 3. This one ended up making a new run going into the mid to late morning. But if it's not breaking higher, we know the deal. So, the volume, again, definitely died off fairly quick on this trade. And from that point, this one ended up just dragging back down. Last one from this morning, like I said, the NAVB trade. And then from there, we'll look to rescan the market going into the afternoon. I feel like we've been doing very well just consistently on these side list stocks. I saw Uber get called out, Lyft get called out. If I'm not mistaken, CHGG check. It's a little pricier, but it's a good side list stock for more level 4 or so traders. NAVB from this morning, nice pre-market run up. Unfortunately, big pop, but then drop, right? So same deal. This one had a nice little move up going into the early afternoon. I didn't call this one out. I don't think anyone here in our trading room called it out. Probably just better opportunity elsewhere. But, again, keep in mind for a stock like this, we're not going to totally throw this, in the trash just yet. At least for today we will, but, not totally, meaning, next week, perhaps maybe Wednesday or Thursday next week, maybe even earlier, maybe Tuesday right after Memorial Day. You never know. But, for a lot of these small cap stocks, you tend to see a second, a bit of a squeeze up at some point in time. Quick little history lesson there. Although it tanked just before the SRNE, we ended up catching this back on Wednesday, right? And, last week it was our big mover. Well, Wednesday this past week here, a couple days ago, nice breakout. So, that's what I mean in that regard. All right, guys. So I see a couple of call outs already in our trading room, a few already on YouTube. Let's go right from top to bottom, see what else we can get. So NAVB, as much trash as I talked about this stock just now, it's still a top percent gainer. So we'll skip ahead at least on that for the meantime. GRNQ. I don't know, total pump and dump, it seems like. I don't think we called that one out too much. XSPA, again, we went over that briefly. SNDL. Okay, so I forgot about this one. This one was called out right out of the gate at 9:30. I didn't trade this one. A few of us jumped on this one for about 15 or 20 cents before it ended up making a lower high. Again, it kind of finished up its run though. So, maybe again next week, keep it in mind. If you did well on this trade, keep it on your quote unquote side list. This Ren trade, RENN. Day over day over day, if you're looking on the daily chart there, 3 days in a row, this stock has made some big moves up. And at least for right now, it's right at the highs off of 4. The stock is trading such little volume per minute, though. I'm not going to put this on the list for right now. You would think that this would seem to be a very attractive setup just based on the chart, seeing this trade near the highs going into the close, a whole number of resistance perhaps. So for what it's worth, I'm not going to put it on the list just based on the lack of volume right now. So, and with that in mind, although I could be wrong, but given how much the stock moved up in the last 2 days, this is, more than a 100% move up. You would have to expect, when are we going to see profit take? So I wouldn't expect this to make as big of a jump up just yet before perhaps a bigger pullback. CLSN from this morning as well earlier today did very nicely, pulled back, broke out like a lot of the others. This one off of basically 270, the pre-market high, it seems like. That's when the volume started to come in. From there, ran up nicely for just about 50 or so cents. Good side list stock as well. And again, much like the last one we just covered here, for as much of a run up as the stock had the last 3 days, well, we're starting to see that pull back now. This drop off. So if you could short it, go for it. But it's hard to borrow for those with TradeStation. That's not really our intent right now on this trade. So we'll pass. All right, Vuzi, nice run up earlier today. This has been a stock we've been calling out on and off. Just over the last week and a half, 2 weeks. A nice trend right now. I do like this. A lot of volume on the order book. The stock has to cut through at least here 309, 310-ish perhaps, but this one will make the cut. I don't mind put this Vuzi trade here. All right, let's keep going. All right, we'll kind of just cherry pick right now at this point, guys. XERS. I got pinged on this one from Benzinga Pro just earlier. Tight spread for the meantime. It is shortable. Most importantly, if it craps out the other way. A large amount of the volume filled on that one, spike up, it seems like just prior to 2 p.m. From that point, of course, you could see, the end result, a very clean, successful squeeze up towards just about 585. I'll keep this on the side for right now. Again, you guys know me. If I tend to make too big of a list, I wouldn't focus on this one right away. But I feel like we'll capture a couple of those opportunities, guys. Just if not on the losers list, then just running a quick scan otherwise. Mark, M-A-R-K, nice familiar name, nice run up here at least. Yeah, an easy one to put on our list, similar to Vuzi. I skipped over Maxer. Oof, missed out on this MAXR trade. I guess at the time we would maybe call it quote unquote lighter volume trade at the morning. Ended up moving from 10 to basically 1250. Ended up holding, 1235 high the day rather. But yeah, I don't mind putting this one on our list. It's shortable, most importantly, so you could see the lower highs being made. It's pulling back towards just about 1195. It seems like right off support, maybe 1190 off the bid. So if it ends up crapping out below support, it would be a very interesting short opportunity, perhaps. Otherwise, you end up trying to follow the trend on the way back up. Do not get your stocks confused, guys. M-A-R-K, M-A-X-R. Talk about traders' dyslexia earlier in the trading room. A couple of us were talking about that. FRSX, gonna pass. All right, let's just see. Any other familiar names? Seal here, a couple maybe. This one's a little slow. All right. I saw a shout here on INSG from Chuck. It's up 11+%, and it's a double top right off a whole number price level. So, considering this trend up, I'm definitely interested in this one, Chuck. Good call. I'd like to open up Bookmap and just to see what happened on this big spike up and down, then back up. From that point, the volume kind of died off a bit. But tight spread, liquid order book, it's of course moving right back up to that major level. So definitely still worth watching. I do like this one. Fausto's favorite, MNKD, Mankind. You know what? In honor of Fausto, I will put the stock right on our watch list. I don't know if he's tuning in on the sidelines or not, but it's one of his favorite stocks. It's a level 1 stock, so you're not going to make a whole lot of money on this trade, cent per share wise, Mankind. But hey, it's cheap, very, very slow. You can pick up maybe 4, 5, 6 cents on a few thousand shares. Know your worth on a stock like this, but very tradable at this point, guys. We'll put this on our list. All right, my scans keep resetting on me, but I'll tell you, I think they were pretty much good on the gainer side here. Maybe PDD, a little expensive, but yeah, this one's been pushing all day. So for our level 5 traders out there, a little pricey. I'd say level 3 to 5. The spread's not terribly big on this, but pretty expensive. But nevertheless, we'll put this one on our list. All right, let's hop over to the losers list, guys, see if there's anything else over there. I know that there's a couple. We called out SEAC just a moment ago, dropped off. It's shortable. It is, fairly cheap. It's not too close to the ground floor, as I'd like to say, but just kind of flat. The SNDX trade, this thing's been all over. I ended up shorting this earlier today. Got filled right off of 16, was it 1575? It was a bit later on. I ended up getting short from 1575 here once it broke down, this iceberg order at the time. Nice drop at the time, but it ended up popping up so quick. So it ended up taking me out a lot earlier or a lot later than I want it to be, or higher rather, I should say. For what it's worth, though, moved back up and now a nasty shake back down. This thing is dropping like a rock. So if I do put this on our list, this one's more like a level 4 to 5. The spread's already fluctuating up and down anywhere between 2 cents and 8 cents, I see. So, you got to be careful, try and beat the spread on a trade like this. But given the bad news that came out, yesterday overnight, I was expecting a very big move on this trade today. We've had it thus far, but I thought there was going to be more volume on the order book. So I was pretty interested in this one leading into the open. I didn't take my first trade on this like I told you guys until 1575 a bit later on. I'll put it on our list given this recent shake. I like the recent activity of it. Again, definitely more level 4 to 5 stock, if anything. Just skip ahead a little bit here. Surf. I don't know, guys. Was this stock hard to borrow yesterday or not? I didn't realize that the stock was shortable until later on. One of our students ended up posting a nice profit on this trade. Man, if it was shortable yesterday, then I should have been more wary of this leading into the open for as big of a move again as it made, last 2 days. Here's our pullback day. Nice drop off. For right now, I feel like most of the move on this trade, if anything, would be done. Good side list stock, though. Great side list stock to keep in mind, especially, of course, if it remains shortable. HPE, I don't know what happened here today. It's down 11+%. Yeah, just too slow right now. Foot Locker, we saw earnings this morning on, ended up taking its sweet time, consolidating underneath 27.50, but eventually made its move. Nice drop off. This stock has some range to it, meaning just, between the gap, between the move down from 27.50 down to essentially 25.25 and back up, it has range across the day to take some trades off of. I wouldn't mind just putting this on our list for that reason alone. Just, an active moving stock, a good, day tradable stock perhaps. All right. Oh, man, I feel like I could put a lot more on here just looking at the stocks that are shortable for right now. HUYA earlier in the week ended up reporting earnings, if I'm not mistaken. Back on Wednesday, it was the 20th. Let's see if there's anything maybe making a bit of a sharper move. DBAX off at 5. I saw that called out earlier. All right. Well, you know what? I'll tell you guys. Let me know if there's anything else that you would want me to call out or check out here very briefly. That goes for both, the live chat board here in our trading room, and of course, just streaming across social media. Let me know if there's anything that you would want me to look at. Let's see, from Chuck, from his side list, COTY, the bottom of it. Yeah, nice run up from earlier, nice level 1 trade. It's still up big, very tradable still at this point, and it is shortable. Might be just a little slow, though, even on the way down. But again, Chuck, good call, at least as far as being tradable stock. Good side list stock, if anything. All right, we got to catch up a little bit from the chat board before. From Ben, Lyft broke 31. We were talking about Lyft and Uber and Grubhub earlier today. All three of them are squeezing up together. And for what it's worth, Lyft here at the high of the day right now is still off of 31. Definitely a good setup. I want to check in just on the rest of them before I start tossing all of these on our list. So Lyft definitely seems like the strongest. I will add that one to our list. At least that over Uber. Maybe Grubhub will check out briefly. I mean, all of these are to a degree tradable. Yeah, Grubhub, honestly, big spread, very light orders on the book. I wouldn't even say as much about this, but definitely Uber's tradable. I'm not going to put that on our main list, though, for right now. We have RRR, which is Red Rock Resort, if I'm not mistaken. I had them on my earnings calendar this week. On Tuesday, they ended up reporting it after the bell, and we didn't focus on them as much. But, of course, there are plenty of other stocks to watch. But, hey, I mean, beautiful trend up, continuing once again from Wednesday. So again, I mean, another stock that seamlessly is just pushed up across the whole week. I like this trend, though. This thing has a little bit more push behind it, it feels like. So yeah, I'm going to put this on our list as well, Ben. Good call for triple R. All right, I'm going to run a quick scan. I think that'll just about do it, though. And actually allow me, guys, just because I know the scan might not take too quick. So for everybody streaming across social media, Facebook and YouTube, and of course for everybody here in our trading room, just keep in mind, guys, I know Fausto had brought this up just a bit earlier, but we are doing a live deal just coming up for Memorial Day, just browsing on our website. So if you go right to our homepage, cybertradinguniversity.com, you'll see it right here. You can click just to see any of the specials that we're offering, including live access to the trading room, discounted rates on one-on-one coaching, course packages as well. So make sure that you guys just call the office or talk to your education advisor just for more information on that. And again, for anyone streaming across social media, certainly just call the phone number down below on the banner. All right. So in the time that took, I really got nowhere on the scan. All right, guys. So you know what? I think that just about does it for right now. I mean, maybe checking in on NCLH and the XERS that I had on the side. NCLH seems like it's pushing down a little bit more, maybe a little bit more active going into the afternoon. Let's take a look on the Dow, maybe just if anything. Dow is pulling back a little bit. SPY, S&P 500 ETF dropping off as well slightly. So NCLH is moving a bit, guys. I wouldn't mind slapping that on our watch list just at the end. It's been very active across the whole day, tight spread, not too much volume on the order book like American Airlines, perhaps. I mean, we used to love trading the stock, we as in me, and perhaps you guys as well. But based on the amount of volume the stock has to cut through, it's just not making as clean of a run up or down. NCLH, well, kind of middle ground, tight spread. Thinner orders on the book, but still manageable to focus on the bigger, support resistance. So, I will put this one on our list just at the end, and that'll do. NCLH. All right. So maybe in usual Josh fashion, we have a big list. Let's see. We have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. 12 in total, guys. That's it. So keep in mind, try and stick to this list to begin. At least this will give you a very good opportunity to try and catch, a breakout from this point forward. All right. Aside from that, though, guys, just keep in mind, we'll look to rescan the market going into the final 30 minutes of the day. I'll hop back on the audio here in the trading room, at least by 3:30. All right, guys. Talk to you all soon. Take care.